Each day at Wesley Meadows is a new opportunity to serve older adults and reimagine retirement living. It is the heart of their mission that inspires their team to provide the kind of fun atmosphere and care residents would want for themselves. Experience the warm spirit and faith-based difference of Wesley Meadows. Call 662-429-2070 and schedule your visit today. Hello and welcome to the Real Hernando, presented to you by Wesley Meadows Retirement Community and SRP Studios. The Real Hernando is a podcast created to highlight the Hernando, Mississippi community by sharing the stories of its business owners and community leaders. We hope these stories help strengthen the fabric of the city we love so near and dear, Hernando. The Real Hernando.
The Real Hernando.
That's Robert Carter, you heard that right there. Please follow us at therealhernando.com for all channels and social media platforms. I am your host, Derek, and today I'm speaking with Robert Carter. Robert is the Mid-South Region Retail Branch Administrator at Renaissance Bank, but in Hernando, he's the High School Football Boosters President and the best Hernando ambassador you will ever find.
Thanks, Derek.
Robert, thanks for being here today.
Yeah, thanks, Derek. It's definitely a pleasure, and again, I'm in awe from where we sat the first time we did the Real Hernando podcast for its inaugural airing. So
yeah, and that's why I wanted to book this with you, and you're going to be the first published for 2023, so season 2.
Awesome.
But you're also the last recorded. So yeah, as we record this, it's December 26th, Monday after Christmas. And I thought it'd be cool to kind of recap what this podcast is not only done for the community in a way, but also for me personally. Like, this has been a journey for me, and it all starts with you. And our history and how this all got started. And I thought it would be neat to kind of update the audience on some stuff, but do it with you. And because, your hands are all over this, as modest as you are and how much you think that you're not, a lot of this isn't happening without you. So let's give some context first. If anyone's interested, go watch our very first episode. We recorded it in the back of the Renaissance Bank in Hernando, and now we're in a studio, which we're going to talk about. But a very good friend of ours, Anthony Wood, connected us. He sent me your way because I wanted to open up a new bank account. And we quickly kind of became friends, man. And you saw the business I was doing, and in a roundabout way, we started talking about how I could start a podcast for the Real Hernando Facebook page.
Absolutely.
And it was like 45 minutes before we talked about a checking account.
Well, it was business. So,
That's right.
It was business from the get-go. But yeah, Derek, just thinking about where we were and where you were starting and all this and the Real Hernando, it was, again, it was started just to gleam and shimmer the great city of Hernando. Right. Its people, its stories, and that's what the Facebook page I'd started in July of
21.
So, and then we met up in August and kind of, I guess a little bit before, just shy of August.
July is when we first met. I had just moved here that June, hence why I wanted to change banks. And August is when I fired it up and was like, all right, we're doing this.
Yeah, it was just, I don't know, it hit on all cylinders, I guess you could say, for both of us. I have a passion to share this great city and its people. I love it. I will always love it. But Derek saw a passion for Hernando through, I guess, some of my just discussions. But I saw his passion for his business and what he was entailed, and it went together. It
really did.
It was definitely peanut butter and jelly. So.
And it set me on a path that I, never saw coming when I first got into podcasting, and it's been a wild ride and journey, but very grateful for that meeting.
Yes.
Thank you, Anthony Wood.
Yeah, thanks, Anthony.
And August of 21 is when I dive into this thing, and from scratch. The only thing we had was, the Facebook page. And I'm going to thank my team more in depth here later on.
Absolutely.
But my graphic designer, Mondo, jumped on this along with my web developer, Sam Silverman, to put together the designing and the website. That was key to get that going.
And Mondo had a structure and just an image for what I was hoping for the Real Hernando's logo, Facebook look, and kind of just to blend in exactly what I was envisioning it to be. And he put that out there in an image, and that
He's
was
a pro,
awesome.
man.
Yeah.
I love him.
Thanks, Mondo.
Yes, Mondo. Thank you. I thank him almost every day for the stuff he does for me. But you and I decided we wanted some imagery that represented Hernando. So if anyone goes to our website and looks at our full logo, if you notice, the bottom has history, past, top is present, and then the tiger in the middle kind of connecting, like youth connecting it. So the top has like the water tower and the courthouse, and below has the old antique store, the old train house, you know. And then we gave, Mondo some direction on color, as far as, how the school colors here are black and gold, I believe.
Absolutely, yes.
And then he just ran with it. So so that was the beginning. And that was quite the overtaking. And then it was a matter of planning, messaging, trying to figure out what socials we want to be on. Equipment. I overthought the equipment at first, and I bought a lot of stuff thinking I was gonna, I decided that I wanted to record these episodes at the locations of the businesses, and bought a ridiculous amount of equipment that would have just been impossible for me to show up there and set up. A lot of that stuff ended up now is finally being used here. Yeah. So then I simplified it, got one camera, these little wireless mics that you see in front of us now. And then it finally came to the point where it's like, Derek, you have to record something, and that's where the stress and the anxiety comes in when you're building something new, or even when you're building your business and stuff. It's just like, you get imposter syndrome, like, is this, am I good enough for this? Weird stuff. And I finally was like, gotta get started. And that's when I called you. I was like, Robert, we got to record an episode. And this is before I had these little wireless lapels. And so we show up at your bank after hours. We go hang out in the back room. I just turned my iPad on, put it on the table in front of us, a voice memo recording, and then we just talked. That went well. And then another key piece here is you hooked me up with Steve and Karen Cubbage at Area 51 Ice Cream, and that's why I'm wearing their shirt right here. It's difficult to book a guest for a podcast that doesn't exist because it hadn't launched yet.
Right.
But you can't launch without interviews and episodes. So there's that weird moment at the beginning where you have to approach someone that would be willing to just help you out.
It was funny, Derek. I felt like you were like, Robert, just who we're going to interview. I was like, no, don't worry about it, man. There's plenty of people to interview. We'll start here, and here. And Steve and Karen definitely were. I mean, they're such a staple in this community, and where they came from, and
right.
Just, man, amazing, all of them throughout the year. But what a start on the first business to interview with Steve and Karen and their story.
Absolutely.
And, to share not only their story but their product, and if you haven't tried their product, it's
amazing.
It's amazing. I mean,
shout out to Lemon Icebox. And and that's when I knew this was going to work, because they were my first interview again. It's why I'm wearing their shirt, because they were nice enough to give me their time with your recommendation or your reference. And it was my first time to interview business owners, and it felt very natural because I love the entrepreneurial story because I'm living it.
Absolutely.
It's definitely, as a good interviewer, you need to be able to connect on the topic. And they were so giving with their information, and I just got to be in the front row seat of their awesome story. Halfway through it, I was like, yeah, I know this is going to work because I'm really enjoying this, and I'm enjoying this style of interview. Because prior, I had a podcast called Pod Logics This was all business. So podcasts about podcasting, interviewing other producers, and trying to educate. And I didn't like it. I just felt forced. But when I sat in place in front of Steve and Karen and was just having a conversation about their story, I knew, okay, this is going to work. If I can really commit and feel vested in this, then everything else will follow. And off and running, man.
Yeah.
Off and running. I'm going to thank all the guests here in a minute. And then right out of the gate, when you and I first met about this, you said, you got to join the Chamber of Commerce. I was like, yeah, let's go. So you hooked me up with Siboney Swatsina. The Chamber is going to circle back here in this story. And then I finally had to decide when to launch this officially. And out of nowhere, Donna from the Chamber, she's Siboney's assistant, calls me randomly. Hey, we just wondering when you want to book your ribbon cutting. And at the time, my office/studio was my bedroom. So I'm like, how does that work? She's like, no, silly, you just do it in front of our office.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, okay, let me think about it. Then I was like, what a great idea would it be to have my ribbon cutting for Shelby Row Productions and the podcast simultaneously as a way to launch it. And that's what we did. It was February 8th. And that's when we launched Area 51's Ice Cream, Steve and Karen's interview. And by now, we had already launched your episode as sort of like a trailer.
Right.
And it was amazing. It was such a neat experience. It got a lot of publicity. DeSoto Times did a half-page story on it, and me, page 2. That was exciting.
Yeah.
You know, and then the year just went, and it just turned into a flow. And before I get into the next one, I want to talk about now Wesley Meadows here in a second.
Absolutely.
And start going through the changes and what this journey has done for me. And I'm not trying to be selfish here, but I think it's a neat story on the power of podcasting and what it did. But first, I want to run through the guests real quick and thank everyone for being on this podcast. Because honestly, this doesn't exist without guests.
Absolutely.
No one's going to watch me talk for 45 minutes every other week, right? So we got, again, Robert Carter was our first episode as a trailer, but then Area 51 Ice Cream was our first business interview and official launch. So thank you, Steve and Karen Cubbage. Thank you, Danny McGregor from Sweet Lorraine's Guitar. Mark Arcel from North Mississippi Trail Alliance. Jeremy and Bree Odom from J&B Candle. Heather and Joey Reese from Mississippi Eats. Chris Lyons, our good friend Chris Lyons from Slow Roast Mississippi Coffee. Claire and Josh Agner from Commerce Street Market. Josh Valencia from Buon Cibo or Buon Cibo. I never get a straight answer. Josh said Buon Cibo, and then everyone else tells me Buon Cibo. So I'm going to say Buon Cibo. Josh, thank you for being on the podcast. Tina Tatum from Coffee Central Squared. The mayor, Mayor Chip Johnson, our mayor here. Jennifer Giacelli from LG Trend Boutique. Kim Daly from City Hall Cheesecake. That's a story. Go listen to that
absolutely.
one. Our buddy, Coach Camp, Chris Camp from Motivate
Camp.
with Coach Camp. Kylie Collins from the DeSoto Arts Council. She's the new director. Siboney Swatsina, our friend, the director of the Hernando Main Street Chamber of Commerce. Stephen Michael, Mississippi Music. Heather MacArthur, Wesley Meadows Retirement Community. She's the new marketing director. Definite connection there that we're going to start talking about here in a minute. Robert Foster from Cedar Hill Farm. Jacob Billingsley from Base Sports Performance. Dr. Vivian Lowe from Afterglow Beauty and Wellness. And our most recent one was Ryan Dern from the new Boba Cream, the new boba tea place. And Brian's dropped on November 22nd. And then for December, what we did is we just, every day, it was a countdown to Christmas. Every day we released a clip from all the episodes. So as a way to kind of, as new audience members come in, it's like, hey, check it out. We also interviewed Stephen Karen and Jeremy and Bree, and that gave me a chance to build the studio and get things ready for the new year. So thank you to all those awesome people that let me come into their building with a camera, throw a camera in front of them, clip some microphones on them, and just let me talk to them and ask for their story and let them talk. So all of them were generous with their time. I never got a no. It was good. So Wesley Meadows, Robert.
Man, that place is amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been a staple in Hernando for years, and just its residents is what makes that place, and it's definitely staff, but great place, man. Great place.
So Jamie Clyatt reached out and asked if she could be on the podcast with Heather MacArthur, which is the new sales and marketing director, as a way to introduce her. And that was exciting. And she wasn't the first one to reach out and say, hey, I'd love to be on the podcast. That happened early on, which I just thought was very flattering, because that automatically makes me feel like they trust the platform and get what I'm trying to do. And she got what I wanted to do times 10, because during our pre-interview, I just threw it out there that the Real Hernando is absolutely built, and I was building towards getting it sponsored for 2023. And she's like, let's talk. Just like that. And I was like, all right, And it took a couple months to get my pitch ready and just blah, 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 get all the stuff ready. And the timing was right. Got them just before they started working their next budget and everything, and went through the process. And I'm happy to announce that Wesley Meadows Retirement Community is our title sponsor.
Amazing. Absolutely amazing.
And that's huge.
Yeah. And, there, a lot of businesses, they see this, they see how successful the Real Hernando is. And, the first thought for most of our fans out there is, they just want their name out there. It is not that. I mean, I see that they absolutely want to share the story and what it's built on, and what our vision was for it. And I believe that's the excitement and draw to the Real Hernando. And now it's just an easy, hook, line, and sinker, as you would say, to get Derek to come talk to them, because they want to share their story. It's more than just an advertisement, but and that's what fills me with joy to see, because it's definitely sincerely that sharing of the story, and not so much a marketing ploy. So.
Well, the byproduct of that comes the marketing.
Absolutely.
People buy people, and that was the whole angle. Let's get the person. Let's talk about the business for sure. That's part of the story. Or there are other stories to tell when it comes to Heather MacArthur and Jamie Clyatt, or Siboney, or Kylie from the DeSoto Arts Council. It's a little different. It's educating on what their position is and what that role and organization does for the community too. But who are they? Yeah. That's the key. Kylie from the Art Council was another neat moment, because one of the board members just saw me sitting at Coffee Central Squared. I mean, this is a very community story. I'm sitting at our local coffee shop. Everyone loves Tina Tatum. He recognizes me, taps me on the shoulder. His name is Jarrett Marshall. Sorry if I'm getting your name wrong, man, but thanks for tapping me on the shoulder and asked me if I would be interested in talking about having their new director on, so on and so forth. And then eventually, yes. That was great. It's such a small little community feel to it. But Wesley Meadows, stepped up, and I'm grateful for that, because we'll be talking about the studio here in a second. As anyone watching will see, we're clearly sitting in a room here with some sound paneling up. But with a title sponsor, it's just helps the business. Like, it helps it grow. And there's going to be there's room for other sponsorships. This is a tiered type of deal, as a way to help grow this thing, and also, honestly cover costs. This whole year, SRP financed this. It was, I executive produced this. So it's very exciting. It was one of the goals that I wanted to reach, and I managed to happen. It was awesome. Studio, Robert, check it out.
I mean, Derek, I'm so proud of you and your business. And again, what I remember seeing is it's, baby steps, I guess you could say, when you were crawling and now
Yeah.
here you are full-fledged running, and it is amazing. I mean, I can sit here and talk about it, but to see it in person and it put in reality, you hear about it, you see it through what he does on the podcast, but to be here and experience it is proud of you, man.
Thanks,
I'm
man.
really proud of you.
Thank you.
And for you.
And the podcast is a big part of it because of the connections I was able to make. And another goal, and I laid down 3 goals at my ribbon cutting: sponsorship, brick and mortar, and get some local clientele. Because on the business front, again, it's not all about marketing, but the Real Hernando was also designed to be my marketing arm for my business. How do I get involved? How do I get, how do I not only help the community, but become a viable business in the community? Because at the time, my business was all virtual, in my apartment. Hence why all the interviews for 2023 were at the guest's location. It was charming in ways, but it was also out of necessity because I didn't have a studio.
But in the same sense, that's something that shared their story too, because, the viewers and the audience got to experience. Right. So I think it was needed to, kick it off and stuff for you. So as it grew, so
I want to thank Dale Wilson. I'm located at the Caffey Place off Caffey Street. I mean, I couldn't ask for a better location. It's right downtown. I got now 2 rooms, but when I first saw that there was a room available here back in August or July of this year, that's when a real journey began for me to step up and become a real local business, a brick and mortar. And man, it's been a long few months here building this stuff up and taking a chance, right? And if you watch and listen to all of the small business stories in this first season, it's all about just taking a leap of faith and believing in yourself and going into debt a little bit.
Absolutely.
And all the stress that comes with that. So it wasn't long. It was just about a month ago, after about 4 months of building. Let's see, August, September, October, November. Yeah. So after 4 months of building out room A, Studio A, I decided to grab the room across the hall that was open. It's this beautiful corner office. So now that's where you see us sitting. This is technically Studio B. And then the other corner of this room is another place to record. I just wanted to squeeze as much juice as I could out of the room to get another different setting. So I have 2 rooms, 3 settings, and people are going to see a lot more of these settings. I launched a new community podcast called the Rhythm Section Podcast, which is for the music community, much broader area, obviously, greater Memphis area. If you catch that's Studio A. It's a little more like the Joe Rogan setup with the nice mics and headphones and all of that. But I thought this was a much more relaxed version for something like the Real Hernando, but also all of the space is available for hire, So with that said, in terms of recording on location, it's going to be real special occasions now. Now that I have this space, it's just easier for someone to pop in, do this, and then move on. Scheduling is always difficult. If we're recording in someone's store, they have to be closed.
Right.
Or we hide in the back room somewhere and lock it off so we have some peace. So, like you said, I think it was necessary at first to hear the refrigerators buzzing in the background at Area 51 Ice Cream. It put people in there. But thanks to Wesley Meadows again, it helps me want to take this leap and add up more overhead. Let's just be frank, know. So happy to be here. Dale Wilson gave me a nice deal for 2 rooms. Thank you so much. It's a beautiful place. Happy to be here.
again, proud of you and proud for you, Derek, because, I mean, you've been sharing your story through your growth. I mean, it may not have been as vocal as some of the stories shared, but, it's definitely been an experience. So, it's been an awesome trip, to watch this for you. And, I know we've talked throughout the year, about different things. And that's just the one thing I can keep saying for Derek is, man, I'm proud of you, proud for you. And I am. To watch him become successful just through passion and, doing what he loves. And they say you don't work a day in your life if it's something you love. So I don't feel like this is a job for Derek. It's the passion, but he seems to really love it. So
it drives me for sure. And, at some point here, I want to talk about the future, and again, this journey has really made it clear to me where I want to take this business. But again, not to make this about me, but I want to make another announcement, Robert, that without this podcast, without you, and without the Chamber of Commerce, this is an opportunity that I, never saw coming, and clearly wouldn't have arrived in my life. By the time this launches, it will be officially announced. I'll give the story here after I am blessed to say that I'm on the board of directors for the Hernando Main Street Chamber of Commerce. Didn't see that coming, Robert.
Congrats.
And it's a combination of the podcast and just trying to be an active member at the chamber and showing up to other ribbon cuttings and shaking hands and building relationships. And Siboney reached out to me a few months ago, asked if my name came up. They were losing 2 people. My name came up. That alone, just finding out my name came up, was so humbling and flattering. And that they reached out and asked if I was interested. And so, of course, I said yes, I was interested. Interviewed, and then just kind of had to wait for them to vote.
Right.
And they voted me in. It's me and Greg Drumright from
Fieldhouse. Yeah.
From the Fieldhouse. So, as I record this, I haven't started yet. So I don't know what's ahead.
Yeah. Well, speaking from experience, as long as you love the mission of the chamber and you support that, you can't go wrong as a board member. So, again, loving this community is the first step, in my opinion. I served for 3 years on the chamber.
On the direct board?
I was the president, the last part of that. So, anyway, I get it. I understand, and it's the chambers, it's good stuff. But with anything, whether you're a coach on a team or, on a board of directors or running your business, you have to have a love for the community in which you serve.
Yeah.
You got to be intentional about that. But you'll do fine, man, because I've seen it. So I'm excited for you again. I got a text from Derek, and he goes, "Man, I got good news," and I don't know how to act about it. And it was, my name came up as a board of director. I said, "Bro, that's awesome. You'll do great," And then it was official that you got voted in. So congratulations,
Thank
man.
you.
Yeah.
It's exciting. I'm looking forward to the opportunity and the people I'm going to meet and the networking that's going to be involved with it will be beneficial too, just as a whole for me. So I'm looking forward to serving and seeing what it all means and I'm going to try my best to be the best member I can be. And if there's problems, I'm pretty good at solving problems. That's part of business.
Right.
Business 101 for me is problem solution. So if we're trying to figure out a way to sponsor something or create an event or whatever, I feel like I can bring something to the table and then use my platforms. That was a big factor.
Yeah, absolutely.
When I talked to Siboney, I was like, I think I can help just with these platforms and what my business is in terms of how it can reach.
Yeah.
And hence that's why a business like Wesley Meadows was able to kind of see what it's doing is because of reach, the actual analytics. Podcasting is very powerful especially when you do it local.
Right.
The people, it's connecting. It connects people.
We got several podcasts throughout our community. You know, one I think of in the cooking world is Malcolm Reed with How to Barbecue Right and how he does that. And I mean, there's other elements, but that I see how it reaches people. I mean, and you watch something on social media and it's somebody sharing a podcast, and I'm like, hey, that guy lives in my town, man. You know, like,
Yeah, exactly.
I know Malcolm, or, you know, I know Derek. You know, you see these things, but it doesn't stay local as far as the shares go. And again, keyword share, you know, I mean, it just keyword. So,
you know, YouTube has like a global reach.
right.
You know, somehow some people just will find videos and you look at the analytics and you realize, you know, someone downloaded in South Africa. Like, how'd they hear about the Real Hernando? You know, and it just things circle around out there.
Yeah.
So if they really engage and want to hear awesome entrepreneurial stories, and I think that's the other awesome part of this is we're local, like you said. I know that person. This is so neat. It's strengthening the fabric of this community. But a good story is for everybody. You know, everyone can engage and relate to a good life story. And so that's where it can reach anyone. It's good for anybody.
And you know, a good friend, my mentor, my supervisor, he always says, Sean Clayton, you know, he has given me the opportunity to step into the world of banking. But from day one, you know, I was like, man, I don't want to touch people's money. I don't want to deal with their money. I don't know anything about banking. And he said, Robert, people deal with people. And, you know, that is exactly what's happening here is people want to deal with people. Everything else is an amenity to those people. So, you know, that's why this podcast is so successful. They're sharing the stories. People want to hear those people's stories, you know, and then they follow suit with doing business with them because they want to support those stories too. So it's amazing. And, you know, thank Sean for that, you know, because I use that time and time again.
Well, let's update everyone on now your growth.
So, yeah, man, you know, was branch manager when we first met in July for Hernando branch and for Renaissance Bank. And then just a month later was promoted to retail branch specialist for DeSoto County. And, you know, that went on for about a year where I was still pretty much rooted here in Hernando at home. And then a new opportunity came forth where we kind of combined our Memphis market and DeSoto County market and made it a Mid-South region for the bank. Opportunity presented itself. And again, my mentor, Sean Clayton, and Shane McClarty too, you know, they both, you know, Robert, we want you to do this. We want you to handle the retail side of everything. You've been doing a good job at it, and you know, you're the guy. So I never say no. They know that about me. They tell me go take out the trash. I'm not going to tell them no. So absolutely, and it, you know, it's definitely been some challenges, but it's the excitement, you know, and I get to work with these great guys, and Sean's been a great leader. But now I'm over the Mid-South region, which is right now at this point, you know, we could always grow, but 11 branches, you know, 5 in the Memphis footprint, 1 in Bells, Tennessee. And then we have our, you know, our 6, that's 6, and then 5 in DeSoto County footprint. So,
where do you sit mainly?
Well, I am supposed to be housed out of Hernando as a home office, but as changes are taking place and we're strengthening the market, I've been located on our Poplar Avenue branch. We call that our Memphis headquarters. So I've been there, of course, you know, trying to provide support and you know, be the leader, you know, that I need to be, you know, and encourage others to be one and the same. You know, if we have a business full of leaders, man, we can't go wrong, you know. So, but again, so, you know, one of the reasons also that it lacks me a little bit on the Real Hernando page, but it also was forecasted in the beginning that, you know, that when the time was right, that would be handed over to Derek, and that was another change that was done this year. I think it was right around September, October.
Yeah, it came out of nowhere. I saw this big post.
Yeah,
At first, I thought it was Lexi, who I'll be mentioning here in a minute. My social media manager was like, "She posts something uniquely," and I saw it was from you, and then I read it, of course, and that was very nice. That was very appreciated. At that point, I was like, "You kind of already gave it to me, Robert, but thanks for shining."
It was solely yours now. So, in starting that page, it was, I guess I would say, I don't want to say I had control over Derek, definitely shared with his team and himself and, everything that was inputted on that. But I still had my finger on it, I feel like, a little bit, because I definitely wanted to make sure that things with the schools and the youth were shared on that. And when I saw Derek was all in on all of it, it was just time. And that needed to be the other sector to control to him, because he had the podcast. And I really had no part in that other than just telling him how proud I was of him to do that. So I felt like, it's just the right thing to do. And it was kind of, part of an envisionment. And I told him in the beginning, hey, when I feel like it's time, it's time. And there was no better time, Derek. So you've got Hernando rolling, and people see the real Hernando. And, the initiation of my goal and my mission forward has taken place. And people are seeing Hernando in its lime, the light of glimmer and shine, and what an awesome place it is, and all the people that are here, So,
the essence.
The essence is absolutely.
So you're officially not an admin anymore. We kicked you out.
That's right.
We booted you out. But anyone over the last year that's been following the page, anytime the description said "Go Hernando" in all caps, that was Robert.
Yeah.
That was your tag right there.
We tried to tag everything, with it was podcast, Go Mississippi Eats, Go Hernando. Go Hernando, there's a lot in that meaning, and in that saying that to trigger people hopefully to come check us out. Not just on the Facebook page or the podcast. Come to Hernando.
Yeah.
I mean, we have so much to offer. The farmers market is bar none. And just that community feel when you're walking by and you see your neighbor, and your Hernando Farms is there, or you
got live music.
Live music.
Music is very much embraced here. You got the Water Tower Fest, but then you have 2 months out of the summer. Well, fall. So you got June, I believe, is Sunset on the Square. Yeah. So every Thursday for 4 weeks, you have live music right in front of the courthouse. And then the same thing in September. Sorry if I'm screwing these dates up, but then you got Hometown Headliners.
Yeah.
Another 4-week deal. How cool is it that the courthouse lets all this stuff happen right in the front yard? So when you're watching the band, they're set up right in front of the main steps in front of the courthouse. And there's a lot of other random, like, one-off stuff that happens on the front court. Then you get the A Fair, and
A Fair, Water Tower Festival.
It's really remarkable. And honestly, I'd be remiss if I skipped over this part of the story. Chris Lyons is a huge part of this, because I just moved here, and summer of 21. Finally went to a farmer's market and bumped into Chris. He's an old friend of mine. He is an elder at Christ Covenant Church, which I was a house musician at for several years. Hadn't seen him in a while. By that time, I was no longer a part of the worship band, and just started hanging out and talking about his coffee. He's Slow Roast Mississippi Coffee, and he doesn't have a brick and mortar anymore. It's just, he does his thing at the farmer's market. And he told me that Area 51 Ice Cream uses his coffee for their mocha chip, and their coffee flavored stuff. And that generated a spark in my brain that really made me ask, how do I get involved? That's the beginning. How do I get involved? how can I be a part of this? I can't be at the farmer's market. You know, I don't sell coffee and cucumbers and jarred peppers, right? But maybe I can interview people at the market. And that was just the germ of the idea. And then I meet you, and then bam. So our paths crossed for a reason. All because of a farmer's market, you know, just hanging out around the square. You know, I don't want to go too long here, but I again, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention my team. Absolutely. Because I can't do this alone. There's no way. Sebastian Fredette is the editor. He did just that, the editing, put it together. Mondo, as we mentioned earlier, does all the graphic design, and then set the designs for all the templates for the thumbnails and our reels. Then Sam Silverman, he and Mondo built the website. Sam is the coder, you know, and all that stuff.
And there's a lot to that.
Yeah, I'm not touching that. Yeah. But then Mondo did all the front facing.
Absolutely.
And between the three of us, we dialed it in and made it what I felt like it needed to be. And then, last but not least, and really the most important person in my team that backs me up is Lexi. Lexi is the master behind all the social media, which is key. The podcast is one thing, but I think of the Real Hernando as a network.
Absolutely.
Or a website, or a YouTube channel, or TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. You have to spread out in order to get that reach. And each platform has a different age group, different demographic. And so it's important to be spread out. It's also a lot of work. And how we promote this podcast is through clips. And then you have different formatting. The clip needs to be formatted different for TikTok than Instagram, than Facebook, and YouTube Shorts. And
there's a lot.
You know, and so I gave her carte blanche early on because I trusted her and her storytelling and what she can do. So she chooses the clips. She does all the writing, does all the post management. She's my assistant producer, honestly. So Lexi, I can't do this without you. Thank you. And because of these guys and girl, because of this team, the Real Hernando became what it is. So I want to highlight them because there's no way I can do this without them.
And if I'm going to thank anybody, Derek,
go for it. Yes,
is the audience.
Yeah,
thank y'all. Yeah. Absolutely, thank y'all for trusting that this is what it was meant to be, and tuning in every week or every other week, and you know, staying engaged with it, and we continue to ask to stay engaged and share the stories we're sharing with others, and you know, let's continue to build this thing because again, you know, my hope, my dream was Hernando was be seen in its entirety as this great city, and Derek was able to format that with, you know, the podcast and his team to, you know, elevate it through the social media outlets. So thank you, audience. Thank you.
Yes.
Big time. Thank you.
Yeah. And the engagement and the sharing of posts.
Absolutely.
I had a very delightful experience in the parking lot at Walmart. I am putting my groceries in the back of my Toyota Corolla hatchback. And I'm wearing a Hometown Headliners shirt. And a lady's passing me to her car who's parked just one space away. And she's like, "Oh, I heard about that." I'm like, "Excuse me?" And she's talking about the Headliners. And she's like, "I went to the Sunset on the Square, but I forgot there's one in the fall." And it just sparked a conversation. So I'm just having this conversation with this woman. And then she just kind of gives me the hairy eyeball, not in the mean way, but like, "Wait a minute. Podcast. Are you the guy with the podcast?" I'm like, "Yeah." She's like, and then she went down, "I loved this interview and I loved hearing Chip's story, and man, the story of, you know, Kim Daly was great." And that was so delightful.
That's rewarding.
It was delightful. You know, it was because it's easy to think no one's watching or listening. People do engage. You look at download numbers, you know, we look at all these analytics and everything. And sometimes you can get lost in the man, I wish more people engaged. You know, you look at the reach, but are people really watching this? Are people really listening? You still always have that doubt, you know? And to have this random person recognize and then talk about all the stuff that she loved and the interviews that she listened to. I wish I got her name or remembered her name. So thank you for that. But it reminded me of, okay, yeah, people are engaging with this, and thank you for
absolutely
enjoying it, you know? And if anyone listening or watching this, if you've seen me sitting at Coffee Central, which I'm there quite often working on my laptop, or you see me walking through a store, say hello. Please come on up, say hi. You know, let's talk. And I want to know what your favorite interview is. Absolutely. What's your favorite story?
Be community. I mean, that's what it's about. Be community. Yeah. But you know, it's funny. I'm on the other side of town, and my coffee stop is Big Muddy Coffee.
Big Muddy,
and actually where Derek and I met. But I mean, it's the same thing. It's just, you know, all these businesses are great. They are absolutely great. It doesn't matter what coffee shop you're in or what store you shop. It's seeing the people that support these businesses and support local and you know, our neighbors, our friends, family, but just to have those conversations. And again, share stories. I mean, it's the basis of what we want to, you know, highlight on all this. And I keep saying we, it's Derek. You know, Derek does all this, so.
Well, the future, you know, I am, we'll wrap it up here. I'm going to be incorporating more leaders, but leaders like head football coach. You know, I want to, who has been pitched and approached. I bumped into him at a ribbon cutting. Let's talk to the principal of the high school, you know. I do have Malcolm coming on, which is going to be fun. As we record this, you might be the first published episode, but you're the second interview for next season. I just interviewed last week a lady by the name of Kelsey Jones, who's the new head librarian at our library. You know, like that's community.
Community, absolutely.
You know, and of course, then businesses still, because the entrepreneurial story is engaging and good. And I just want to shine all these amazing businesses, like a lot of them. When I researched to start this, to build a list of the potential guests and just drove around all the blocks between here and Mackinvale, there's like 100 businesses in probably a 5 square mile location. It's insane.
And small businesses, I mean.
And supported.
And, you know, Derek, I said it in the first interview we had, but, man, Hernando, just a great place to live.
Yeah.
You know, a great place to love, an easy place to love. Mm-hmm. And we can still say that a year later, and we'll be, as long as I'm up and going. So, you know.
Yeah. Yep.
Thank you for being a part of that, you know.
Man, I'm so happy to be here. I love Hernando. I don't do this just because I feel like it's going to bring me business. I do it because I love the city. That's the foundation of this. And to the point where I like setting goals. And I've set a new goal for this coming year, or well, as you hear this, 2023. And you and I talked about this very early on. It's always been big picture. It's made me realize that as a podcast production agency, it's all about, well, who are you really serving? What is your market? What is your niche? And I never knew. Hey, whoever wants to start a podcast, I'm your guy. Right. That was my marketing, right? But it's come very clear to me that in the world of podcasting, my true strength is the community style podcasting. And I haven't made initial steps yet. My plan now is just throwing it out in the universe as much as possible. But I want to grow and create the Real Hernando for other communities.
Right.
So Olive Branch, if you're listening.
South Haven.
DeSoto
County as a whole.
DeSoto County as a whole. Collierville has a cool little square, feel. And that's the direction that I want to take.
And those communities are awesome too.
Yep.
You know, it's just the same. But, and the Real Hernando gives back too. I mean, we're not just a share story. We definitely want to, share successes, and we've been able to be, sponsors in a couple areas this year.
Absolutely.
And wanted to bring that up before we get off. But so if you see the Real Hernando logo out there or SRP, I mean, we want to give back to, and in those formats, however it be. But
it was nice to see you popped up first. It's like, hey, I'm putting our name out here. I forget it was
the football. Yeah, so we've got a 4x8 banner on the outside of the football stadium with the logo that we initially designed.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And then Hernando High School cross country, and then
I got a clearly on a database list. I got a letter from Hernando Singers seeing if I wanted to sponsor their year. I was like, absolutely, let's do this. And I did twofold. I did SRP and the Real Hernando, and it was delightful to sit at the first major concert they had and open up the flyer and the program and seeing the Real Hernando on there. But I'm glad you brought that up, because another thing that I want to do in 2023 is put on an event. Think of something to put on as a fundraiser. Get out there now, and I certainly have the equipment now to set up a little stage out locally on remote. But get more involved with that way and give back to you. So I don't know what that looks like yet, but if I've learned anything, when you set goals and just kind of put things in place and throw it out there, man, magic happens. So
it does.
Thanks, Robert.
Derek, thank you. I'm proud of you and for you, brother. I mean, this is it's amazing. And again, if I could tell the audience just to have been part of the experience with Derek, and just to see again where it structured from and where it's at, right there, brother. Good for you, man.
And Godspeed.
Yes,
2023 is going to be a good year, my friend.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Merry Christmas to you.
Yeah, very belated Merry Christmas to the audience as this launches, and a Happy New Year. And let's bring on 2023, man. Let's make it a great one.
Hey, for old time's sake, go Hernando.
That's right. Take care, man.
All right, man.
Thank you for listening to the Real Hernando Podcast. I hope you enjoyed that story with Robert Carter. Now I want to send this information to you, the listeners, and challenge you in a way to help spread the word and share. Sharing is caring. And you can do this 5 different ways. Okay, so you can go to our website, therealhernando.com, and subscribe. It's free. All we ask is for the email, and this will give you updates when new episodes launch. Plus, the website is our hub, where you can find all of our platforms and locations. Go ahead and scroll down the homepage and find an interview that you just listened to that you like. Open that page up, grab that URL link, and share away. Post it on your socials, send it to friends, family, whoever you might think would like to watch or listen. You can click on our YouTube icon off the website and go subscribe to our channel. That'd be hugely helpful, because this is a video-based podcast as well. Now, follow us on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Google. We're on all the major audio platforms, and you can follow us on our socials. We're at Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. All 3 are at The Real Hernando. Share our posts. We throw out clips of our episodes. Share away. Share them to your stories. Share them to your feeds. Tag people. Comment. Give me a like or us a like. It goes a long way. So thank you again for watching and listening, and I hope y'all have a great day. Thank you.